The Los Angeles Dodgers find themselves once again at the center of the baseball universe, not because of what has already happened, but because of what feels like it is about to happen. There's a different tone surrounding the front office right now, a sense that something significant is being lined up behind the scenes. When the leadership speaks about roster needs, it no longer sounds theoretical or distant. It sounds deliberate, measured, and very close to becoming reality. The focus has narrowed to one clear objective: adding a position player who can impact the game in every possible way, someone who changes both the lineup card and the defensive alignment the moment his name is written in. That type of player is not easy to find, especially at this stage of the offseason, and that is exactly why the words coming from the organization carry so much weight. There is confidence, but also patience, which suggests that discussions are advanced enough to feel promising while still requiring careful timing. This is not the language of exploration or curiosity. It is the language of negotiation, of pieces that are close to fitting but not yet locked into place. When a front office like this one says they feel good about how things are lining up, it usually means the framework already exists and the final steps are about structure, flexibility, and long-term vision. Looking at the current landscape, the pool of players who truly match that description is extremely small. This is about more than filling a hole. It is about elevating the roster in a way that aligns with how the Dodgers have built their teams in recent years, prioritizing versatility, athleticism, and elite production on both sides of the ball. Among the available names, there is one player whose profile checks nearly every box the Dodgers have emphasized: a dynamic outfielder with power, discipline at the plate, and defensive tools that hold real value across a long season. When recent reports and market movement are considered together, the picture becomes even clearer. The idea being discussed internally appears to revolve around a shorter-term deal with an elevated annual value, a strategy the Dodgers have already shown a willingness to use when the situation calls for it. Instead of locking into a decade-long commitment, the organization seems comfortable paying a premium per season if it preserves future flexibility. This approach reflects confidence in their player development system and their ability to reassess the roster every few years without being weighed down by contracts that stretch too far into the future. It is a calculated risk, but one that fits the current competitive window perfectly. From a financial perspective, this type of move would push the boundaries of what position players typically receive on an annual basis. The market value attached to this caliber of talent sits well above what most teams are comfortable offering, especially without the safety net of a long-term agreement. Yet the Dodgers are uniquely positioned to absorb that kind of cost, particularly if the deal is structured over a limited number of seasons. Paying above market value in the short term becomes far more manageable when the commitment does not extend indefinitely, and it allows the team to reassess once the contract concludes. The bigger question is how the player himself views that balance between security and flexibility. A shorter deal with a higher yearly salary offers immediate financial reward and the opportunity to re-enter the market later, potentially under even more favorable conditions. However, it also comes with the risk of injury or decline, which is why many players still lean toward longer guarantees. That internal calculation is a major factor in how these talks progress, especially when the player in question is firmly in his prime and performing at an elite level. On the field, the fit makes a tremendous amount of sense. The Dodgers have talent across the outfield, but there are areas where adding one elite presence could transform the entire unit. The offensive impact alone would deepen the lineup and provide protection in key spots, forcing opposing pitchers into uncomfortable decisions every night. Defensively, the ability to cover ground, make strong throws, and contribute positively in run prevention aligns directly with what the front office has emphasized. Even if certain defensive metrics are closer to average in isolated areas, the overall package still represents a clear upgrade. There is also the ripple effect to consider. Bringing in a player of this magnitude reshapes roles across the roster. Other outfielders shift into more natural positions. Depth improves instantly, and the lineup gains balance. What may currently look like thin spots or question marks suddenly turn into strengths. not because multiple changes were made, but because one move altered the entire structure. That is the type of efficiency the Dodgers consistently seek, maximizing impact without unnecessary disruption. The patience mentioned by the front office hints at additional steps that may still need to occur. Clearing salary, evaluating trade possibilities, or waiting for another market domino to fall could all be part of the process. Timing is everything in situations like this, especially when multiple teams are monitoring the same player and waiting for the right moment to act. The Dodgers have rarely rushed these decisions, preferring instead to let leverage develop naturally before committing. Another layer to this strategy is the flexibility it creates down the road. A high-value short-term contract remains tradable if circumstances change. Teams are far more willing to take on a deal that expires sooner, even with a larger annual figure, because the long-term risk is limited. That reality turns what might look like an aggressive gamble into a relatively controlled asset play, where the downside is mitigated by optionality. When all of these factors are considered together, the message becomes clearer. This is not about speculation or fan-driven excitement. It is about a front office aligning philosophy, finances, and roster construction around a very specific type of move. The confidence in the language suggests that conversations are real and ongoing, and that the organization believes the pieces are close to falling into place. The waiting is not uncertainty, but strategy, allowing the final details to settle in a way that benefits the team both now and in the seasons immediately ahead. As this situation continues to develop, the context around the Dodgers roster makes the direction even more intriguing. When you look at the current depth chart, especially in the outfield, it becomes clear why a move of this nature feels so intentional. There are talented players already in place, but there's also a sense that the group lacks one definitive presence who can anchor the unit on both sides of the ball. Adding a high-impact bat with defensive value does not just fill a gap. It reshapes how the entire lineup functions over the course of a long season. The beauty of this potential move lies in how seamlessly it could fit into what the Dodgers already do well. This organization thrives on adaptability, on being able to move pieces around without losing effectiveness. A versatile outfielder with power allows the team to optimize matchups, manage workloads, and maintain consistency even when injuries inevitably arise. Over a full season, those marginal advantages accumulate, turning close games into wins and good stretches into dominant ones. There's also a broader competitive angle to consider. The Dodgers are not operating in a vacuum. Other contenders are watching closely, understanding that a move like this could tilt the balance in the National League. Securing a player of this caliber is not just about improving internally. It is also about denying rivals the same opportunity. In a postseason environment where margins are razor-thin, that type of roster edge can define an entire October. Financially, the structure being discussed reflects a modern approach to roster building. Rather than committing to a massive deal that stretches deep into a player's 30s, the Dodgers appear focused on maximizing peak performance years. Paying a premium for excellence right now aligns with a win-now mindset, especially when the core of the roster is already built to compete at the highest level. This approach accepts higher annual costs in exchange for reduced long-term risk, a trade-off that makes sense for a franchise with both resources and championship expectations. From a performance standpoint, the offensive upside is impossible to ignore. A hitter who consistently combines power on base ability and situational awareness changes how opposing teams game plan. Pitchers cannot afford to relax at any point in the lineup, and that pressure often leads to mistakes elsewhere. Over time, that kind of presence elevates everyone around him, creating more favorable counts, better pitches to hit, and increased run production across the board. Defensively, the value extends beyond simple metrics. Strong instincts, reliable decision-making, and a capable arm contribute to run prevention in ways that do not always show up neatly on a stat sheet. Over the course of a season, those small advantages matter, particularly for a pitching staff that relies on balls being converted into outs efficiently. When the front office emphasizes two-way impact, this is exactly what they are referencing, a player who contributes in subtle ways as much as in obvious ones. The patience being exercised also suggests awareness of timing within the broader market. As other teams make moves, leverage shifts, prices adjust, priorities change, and opportunities emerge that were not there weeks earlier. The Dodgers have consistently shown an ability to strike at the right moment, often when urgency on the other side creates openings. Waiting does not mean hesitating. It means positioning. Another important factor is how this potential addition aligns with future planning. A shorter deal keeps pathways open for younger players while still allowing the team to compete at the highest level immediately. It avoids blocking prospects indefinitely and preserves the organization's ability to pivot as new talent emerges. This balance between present success and future sustainability has been a defining characteristic of the Dodgers' approach for years. The trade market also looms quietly in the background. A high-value short-term contract is not an immovable piece. If circumstances change, whether due to performance, injuries, or shifting competitive windows, such a player retains significant trade value. That flexibility adds another layer of security to the decision, transforming what might seem like a bold gamble into a controlled investment. All of this circles back to the original message that sparked the conversation. Feeling good about how things are lining up, while acknowledging the need for patience, paints a picture of a process already in motion. It suggests that the front office sees a clear path forward, even if a few steps remain before everything becomes official. The pieces appear to be aligning not by chance, but by design, as the Dodgers continue to operate with a clear vision of how to maximize their window and position themselves for sustained success as the offseason unfolds. What makes this moment especially fascinating is how deliberate everything feels. There is no sense of panic or reactionary decision-making, which often defines less stable organizations. Instead, the Dodgers appear to be operating from a position of clarity, knowing exactly what type of player they want and how that player fits into both the present roster and the broader competitive timeline. Every move seems to be weighed not only against immediate performance, but also against how it affects flexibility in future seasons. There is also an internal confidence that comes from understanding the strength of the current core. With so much talent already in place, the front office does not need multiple splash moves to justify the offseason. One major addition, if executed correctly, could be enough to elevate the team from contender to clear favorite. That reality allows the Dodgers to be selective, to wait for the right deal rather than forcing action simply to satisfy external pressure or expectations. As conversations continue behind closed doors, the anticipation only grows because the logic is so difficult to ignore. The roster need is clear, the market opportunity exists, and the organizational philosophy aligns perfectly with the type of contract being discussed. When those elements converge, it usually signals that the organization is preparing to act, even if the final move requires a bit more time before everything fully comes together. But before we move forward, don't forget to join our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest news about the Los Angeles Dodgers. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the news, so drop a comment below. In a stunning twist that has sent ripples through the baseball world, Mookie Betts, the Boston Red Sox superstar, has reportedly issued an ultimatum that could reshape the landscape of Major League Baseball. According to sources close to the star outfielder, Betts allegedly stated, "If he gets to the Dodgers, I'm out." While the remark has yet to be officially confirmed by Betts or his representatives, the baseball community is already buzzing with speculation about who he might be and what it could mean for one of the league's most dynamic rosters. For years, Mookie Betts has been considered one of the faces of the Red Sox franchise, combining elite hitting, base running, and defensive prowess. His presence in Boston has been a stabilizing force, and any hint that he could leave under certain conditions sends shockwave through fans and analysts alike. The comment about the Dodgers adds another layer of intrigue, given Los Angeles' reputation as a powerhouse with deep pockets and a penchant for assembling star-studded lineups. Rumors have been circulating for months about potential big-name acquisitions by the Dodgers, But BETTS' cryptic warning seems to suggest that one particular target could trigger his departure. Insiders are already dissecting the statement, debating whether it's a negotiating tactic, an emotional reaction, or a genuine declaration of intent. BETTS has always been fiercely competitive, and his loyalty to team culture and clubhouse chemistry is well documented. If the report is accurate, it could indicate that BETTS perceives the arrival of this mysterious player as a threat to team dynamics or a signal that the Red Sox are shifting priorities in a way that doesn't align with his own ambitions. Meanwhile, Dodgers fans are undoubtedly intrigued. The Los Angeles franchise has made a habit of pursuing marquee talent, and the idea that a single signing could influence the roster in such a profound way is tantalizing. Meanwhile, Boston supporters are left in suspense, wondering whether their star outfielder's ultimatum is serious and what it could mean for the future of their beloved team. As always with baseball, the line between rumor and reality is thin, and the coming weeks could see a flurry of speculation, whispers of trades, and strategic moves behind the scenes. One thing is clear. The BETTS ultimatum has already become one of the hottest topics in sports media, and no matter what happens next, it will dominate conversations across the league. That's all for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay up to date with exclusive news about the Los Angeles Dodgers, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We always appreciate your comments and feedback. See you in the next video.